What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video. And today I want to talk about Terrifier 2. It came out a couple years ago. It's a pretty popular franchise already between Terrifier 1 and Terrifier 2. And then you had All Hallows Eve that came before that. So these movies are really getting a lot of traction. I'm going to be honest with you guys. Just full disclaimer. I tried to push this one off. I literally just watched Terrifier 2 for the first time a couple days ago. And I just had some thoughts on it. I just really want to come on camera and talk about it. I talked about the first Terrifier on this channel. I might try to link that up at the top of this video or at the end. It's kind of earlier on video, so the quality is not as great. But I give my general thoughts on the film as a whole. And I just want to do the same thing with this one because this one obviously is bigger, it's bloodier, it's most recent, and we just had a re-release of it in theaters, not near where I am, but it had a re-release in theaters, and at the very end of the re-release, they had a teaser for Terrifier 3. And I feel like this is more of a better time there is to really talk about this series that is gaining a lot of traction, and a lot of people. Art the Clown and this thing as a whole is already iconic. And Art the Clown is looked at as one of the greats when it comes, when you got like Michael Myers and Jason Voorhees and Freddy Krueger, Chucky. You think about these big name movie monsters. Art the Clown is honestly right beside them to a lot of people. I don't necessarily agree with that, but it's I understand why people would put it there. So anyway, this is a franchise that's getting a lot of traction, and I just wanted to talk about it, give you my thoughts on Terrifier 2, and really just tell you why I've pushed it off for so long. So anyway, with that being said, I'll stop rambling on. If you haven't already, like this video, sub the channel, all that good stuff, and we'll talk about more horror-related content and things of that nature. Anyway, with that being said, let's talk about Terrifier 2. So my general thoughts. Listen, this movie is a bigger, bloodier experience as a whole. So I pushed this movie off for a while, and the reason why is I just wasn't. And honestly, like, just sitting here thinking, and maybe I should have done a little bit more research before I did this video, and I apologize for that. I don't remember my full-on thoughts for Terrifier 1. I know that I didn't hate it. I know I said that it was decent at times. The story wasn't really there, but the kills were good, and especially that one kill. Oh my God, you know what I'm talking about. But I can't remember my general thoughts. Well, like more specifically, really, my general thoughts is I thought it was pretty decent. My specifics I don't really remember. So, but what I do remember is that I didn't love the movie. I thought it was a bit much. Like, I love gore. I love gore. I've said it a million times on this channel. Matter of fact, I say it a lot in my Last of Us series, the Last of Us HBO series, where I talk about how I think the show's lack of gore really hurts the show because it just doesn't feel dangerous, Because if you look back at the Last of Us video game, you see how gory that is. You look at the show and there's barely any violence. Where is the gore? With Terrifier 1, I felt like the violence was just like in your face 24/7. A lot of it was cool, and a lot of it was like torture porn. Not really a big torture porn type guy. For example, not really into the Saw films. I do like the first Saw film. I thought it was pretty good. After that, I think the series just kind of goes off the rails. I think it's these very elaborate schemes, and really, it's just torture porn. How can we fuck people up in the most interesting and intricate way possible? If you're into that kind of thing, good for you. My wife's into it, actually. I'm not really. So I'm watching Terrifier 1. I thought it was a bit much. Art the Clown, he's creepy, but I was like, whatever. To me, he's just fucking people up, and that's essentially what you're getting. Terrifier 2, you're getting more of that. Listen, all in all, I actually, and I'll say this without a shadow of a doubt, I like Terrifier 2 way better than the first one. The first one didn't have much of a story at all. You follow these two girls. One of them was looking to be the lead protagonist. She dies off like halfway through the film. And by the way, spoiler warning for the first Terrifier if you haven't seen it. And then you follow that girl's sister, and she's the one that has the effed up face that, when we find out how she gets the effed up face, Art's like eating her face while she's alive, and that's why she looks all, she's got the one eye that's like glazed over, and her face is all mangled. And you follow her for, the rest of the movie until that point. So, and that's pretty much it. And this one, there's actually a bit more story here, and I really liked it. Actually, I'll be honest with you, I like the story parts more than the kills, than the parts that bring dread. I love the story between, and it's not like it's a groundbreaking story, but I did really, really enjoy. Love is probably a strong word. I really enjoyed the story of Sienna and her brother. The stuff with her dad, it's a mystery. Her dad, even though kind of a bit perverted at times, we'll get to that in a minute. How he knew that this was going to happen. This situation between Art the Clown and Sienna, who's depicted as like almost a direct adversary to Art the Clown, because there's still a lot of questions we have when it comes to who Art the Clown is. What is he? Where is he from? How was he created? What's his deal? What's his goal? Is his goal just to exist, just to fuck people up, or is there an actual underlying reason? And so none of that's answered here. It looks like they're about to answer it, and then they kind of switch it up, and it's more of just a gore fest. But I did like the story beats, man. I like the family dynamic between Sienna and her brother. The mom is a bitch. She's just really hard on the brother, and so was Sienna as well. Like you see at the very beginning of the movie, they're very hard on him. Saying he's childish. He's into these serial killers, specifically Art the Clown, saying he's fucking weird, and the boy's looking at this journal that his dad had created, and it has pictures of Art the Clown. It has pictures of this prophetic adversary against Art, and nobody believed him until it happened. And that's kind of where the movie kicks off. And a lot of crazy shit happens. Like I said, I love the character Sienna. I will say, I do like her character. I thought it was refreshing. It was cool to see somebody that was actually able to kind of fight him a little bit. She was still getting her ass kicked quite a bit. Um, but it was cool to see that dynamic between the two, and I hope they explored a little bit more in the third movie. I hope it's kind of like a Laurie Strode, Michael Myers kind of thing. It's not going to be to that same point, but I hope it'll lead to a pretty big showdown by the end of it. And if she dies by the end of it, I think that'd be wild. But it'd be kind of cool if there was a little bit of a victor on the winning side, right? I mean, you want to root for the people against Art, right? Like who's on Art's side? Like I don't want to see him keep fucking up people. Listen, I know that's a lot of people's bread and butter. But yeah, look, so the dynamic between brother and sister was really well. I really liked the story that it was telling, and it was, showing that you could tell the sister, she's in a, kind of like in a weird crowd, kind of like these preppy girls almost, and her trying to fit in. You can see she's very artsy fartsy, making the wings, making the costume that her dad had developed in his mind, I guess, and put on in the pages, which this is kind of weird to me because maybe I'm looking way too far ahead of it, but like we see the finished product, when Sienna puts on the costume, and it's nice.
Bruh. Bruh.
Damn!
But she puts on the costume, and this costume is like super revealing, good in a lot of ways, but super revealing. But if her dad created that with her in mind, like created the costume with Sienna in mind, that's a little weird, isn't it? Like I don't know, like like I was thinking about that when I was watching the film. I was like, man, if her dad created this costume with his daughter in mind, that's a little effed up. But anyway, but yeah, but she was awesomeness. I liked her dynamic with her again. I know I've said it a few times. I did like that, and especially towards the middle of the film when she's seeing this shit actually take place. She's seeing more of the stuff that he was trying to show her at the beginning of the movie. I like that. We got to talk about the elephant in the room. We got to talk about the big kill in the bedroom. Oh my god, dude. When that part came on, so I'm watching it with my wife, and because we watched the first one together, I was like, look, if I'm gonna watch it, let's watch it together. So, we're watching, we get to this scene, and like, you knew this bitch was gonna die. You knew they were setting it up that she was going to die gruesomely, but I didn't realize how gruesome it was gonna be, and it was wild to me, and I couldn't help it. Like when it happened, and you guys know what I'm talking about if you've seen it. She runs upstairs to her room. Art's behind her. She's trying to escape out the window. She throws like this shelf in front of him, tries to go to the window. He gets around the shelf, and then it's just torture at that point. And like I'm watching it, and I couldn't help but laugh. So I'm cackling like the Joker at this point. And the wife, she's like, and my wife, she likes the Saw movies, so even she was like covering her eyes a little bit, kind of turning her head. I couldn't stop looking. I had to keep watching it, and like I'm watching this. And I'm laughing, and I'm not laughing because I think this shit's funny. I'm not laughing because I'm enjoying this carnage candy. I'm laughing because I can't believe how far they took this shit. And it was just crazy to me. Now, here's the thing. Like, I remember when this movie was, like, first coming out, and it just came to theaters. Apparently, people were, like, getting sick in the movie theater, and I just...
You're a pussy.
Y'all are a bunch of pussies. Plain and simple. Plain and simple. Like, I don't understand how you're doing that. Like, what I mean, are y'all really that like? If you're, are you really that soft? Like, I don't. Yes, it was brutal. It was brutal. But crying about a movie, you know this shit's fake, right? Anyway, so you're seeing Art like straight up just he's doing like crazy, just brutal things to this girl. Like right as she goes to skip to the window, he like stabs her like once or twice with this like not with this like little knife he had. He throws her on the bed. Then he takes her head like and grabs the top of her like hair on top of her head. Takes some like I don't even know what the hell they are. Some kind of like I don't even know. Like, they got like kind of like a pincher on the end and scalps her ass. Then throws her on bed like stabs her a couple more times. Then he takes like the same tool I think and like carves a bunch of skin out of her back, like kind of skins her back a little bit. Then he takes her arm, snaps that shit in half. Then he takes her other hand and rips her hand in half. And like it just kept going and going. And he just kept effing her up, and he just kept. I mean, like it would not stop. It was one of. It was like it just. It was one of those sequences where you would think like what he did was like okay, that's enough. But no, he just kept topping it and topping it. And then the last thing he did was he like skinned her a bunch of places. Like she's like really effed up. She's bleeding everywhere. She's cut open in every way possible. And then he goes and gets like with some salt and something else. It pours it on her, and it's burning her skin. And it's like, dude. And then after all that, then he puts her on the bed where she's sitting up on the bed, and he's like chopping shit off of her while she's still alive. It's like holy shit. And her mom walks in, and she's obviously like, I can't remember what the chick's name is, but screaming her name. And you see Art like chopping shit off of her while she's still alive, but her face is melted off. So you see like a little bit of her skull, and she's just crazy. And I could not believe what I was seeing. I could not believe that this was a real thing. And I'm not to sound like a little bitch like it shouldn't exist. I mean it's the fact that this is mostly practical effects is outstanding. Like the set designers, the people who do this shit, y'all are a talented group of folks. I really hope you got paid for this, and I hope in Terrifier 3 you bring it even more because this was super impressive. But I just couldn't believe what I was seeing, and I was like, holy shit, man! Like this is it's just wild to me. But so yeah, that scene was very memorable. Just and honestly, like when I watched for Terrifier 1 and the girl is upside down, he's sawing her from her you know, saw her from the waist up pretty much. I was like, man, how can they top this? Now, I will say, I still think that death is pretty damn brutal. But just the things he was doing to this girl, it was just one thing after another. Like, it was just, I mean, like, even at least in Terrifier 1, what he did to that girl, he did one thing, and that was it. This chick, man, she died. I mean, she was in serious pain. Like, I mean, just everything he was doing, he just kept thinking of ways to f her up, and it was just crazy. I still think about it. I'm like 3 days removed, and I'm like, holy shit, that was crazy. Um, but yeah, so the rest of the movie is pretty good. It's about what you expect. They Art finds a way to lure Sienna to this like abandoned carnival. Or really a theme park, I guess. And by the way, this whole time, Art's like seeing this vision of this. Well, you think it's a vision of this small girl who kind of looks like him a little bit. Her eyes glow yellow. I don't know what any of that crap is about. But Art lures Sienna to this abandoned theme park, and it's a little bit of a showdown, and he beats the shit out of her a little bit. He like stabs the shit out of the boy, or lashing him, and like starts eating chunks off of him and stuff, and then the ending got real weird. Like obviously, Sienna is the prophesized adversary to Art, but she ends up like getting this sword, ends up giving her like invincibility, cures her of her cuts and all of her lacerations, and she comes out and she ends up defeating Art. But of course, it's not over. You see the end credit scene, and that's pretty much the end of the movie. But yeah, just wild. Like after I was done watching it, it's so weird. It's so unique. It's so brutal. I understand why there's an audience for this. Even after watching Terrifier 2, I can honestly say these movies are still not for me. I was talking to the wife about it right after we finished. I said, how'd you feel about this movie? Did you like it? She said, yeah, I liked it. All right. I said, all right, okay. Would you watch it again? She said, no. I said, me too. the one thing about these movies, as good as they are, and they're not bad movies by any stretch of the imagination, but I think these movies are a one and done watch. I can't say that I can go back and watch this movie and enjoy myself because it's that rough at times. And like I said, I'm a Walking Dead fan. I'm a gore nut. I like stuff like that. But this is not. It's not like a Halloween. Like I went back and watched the original Halloween a million times, and I'm sure I'll watch it a million more times before I leave this earth one day. And like you think about these classic horror movies, Evil Dead is another example. These movies are really rewatchable, even in the But with Terrifier, it's not. I don't know. It's weird. I can't say it's rewatchable, but maybe as time goes on, it'll be different. But I mean, I give you a prime example with that. I mean, I reviewed on the channel, which by the way, if you haven't watched it already, definitely check it out. I reviewed the Nightmare on Elm Street 2010 remake. I really enjoyed that movie, like a lot. I really enjoyed what they were going for, the idea of Freddy Krueger and how they changed that up a little bit. And I like the direction. I could see myself watching that one again because I enjoyed that movie so much that I could. With Terrifier, I liked it, but it's not rewatchable. But let me know what your thoughts down below. What do you think about Terrifier 2? Are you looking forward to Terrifier 3? I think, honestly, the addition of Sienna, and not just off of how she looks, by the way, but, I mean, that helps. What is it?
But it helps.
I might put it in the video here, but it helps. If you know what I'm talking about, let me know. It definitely does help that she's not bad to look at. But I do like her character. I think it's good to have an adversary against Art that can compete with him a little bit. And I'm looking forward to what's next. I thought, we did talk about it. I am going to watch Terrifier 3. And I've definitely reviewed here on the channel. So if you like Terrifier content, definitely consider subscribing, and we'll have more to say about that. But let me know your thoughts down below about Terrifier 2 and the Terrifier franchise as a whole. Are you excited for Terrifier 3? And yeah, with that being said, we'll see you next video. Mr. Dead, my friends.